Hello. I wanted to talk to you today about Corpus, which is a really interesting effect in my opinion, um, and has a lot of potential. But I think that often people uh, don't use it because it sounds really stupid if you just leave it on the default. Like that just sounds like garbage. So actually, here, let me just bring this back a little bit. Okay, so yeah. So you throw Corpus on. First thing, get it off this beam setting because it sucks. I really like this pipe setting for when I'm for my live rig because you can make interesting kind of detuning builds out of this effect. So basically, what I do, I bring the dry wet down quite a bit. In my live rig, I have it set up so that when I touch the XY pad, this turns on, where it's usually off, but then as soon as I touch the XY, the dry wet is set to 14 or so. I bring the tuning down quite a bit, and I give it a little bit of spread so that it sounds a little more interesting in the stereo field. And then and then you can kind of get these. So the tuning. Yeah, let's just take a listen to what it sounds like. So you can hear it. It adds quite a bit of mud to the signal. So if you filter out the low parts, it's a little bit less muddy. You want to leave some of them in, I think. I think it's okay to be muddy. You kind of just want to use it sparingly. But anyways, if you want it to be less muddy, you can just cut out the lows a little bit with the filter. And now the trick here really is to make sure that the tuning is just slightly out of tune with the song. That works quite well. Might want to bring it down a bit more. So anyway, so that, I think, in and of itself can be kind of interesting. If you take down the opening a bit, sometimes you get a little bit more of that high frequency business. So the opening is a bit of a dampening kind of effect. Now, the other thing is that you don't necessarily have to use it on this pipe setting. The other settings work just as well for this. Even this beam one, which we previously established was crappy. If you take this beam setting, the thing that there's a couple things that suck about it, but here, let's just drop it over onto the operator. Copy paste the one that we had. So, all right, so we've got beam. Actually, yeah, let's just take a new one so you can hear it from the beginning. So, we've got this beam setting. Here I've just got some noise that's low passed. Right, just a little pop sort of thing. Now, you're going to get a lot of these like kind of ringy high frequency sounds, which I think is the reason that a lot of people don't like Corpus. Now, there's a couple things here. One, if you bring down this listening thing all the way down, then you hear this sort of sounds a little bit more like what you would sort of expect from hitting a beam, I feel like. And then this, as you bring this up, it starts to give it a little bit more character. Kind of expands it in the stereo field, while also making it sound like a little bit more, I guess, realistic. I also like to turn this to full. And then add a little bit of spread. And now we're starting to get that detuning kind of sound that we wanted. The thing is that high frequency business kind of sucks, and I don't really like to filter it out because I'd like to have something more interesting in the high frequency instead of that ringing. So if you just bring the inharmonic down, let's bring this up again. you can kind of get some interesting sounds that way. So let's set up this one sort of like that one. Set it to beam. I'm going to take out the low frequencies again, and we're going to keep the tuning where it was. Bring the listening down a little bit, or the listening on the right side down a little bit. Whatever, just play with these a bit. Who cares? You kind of want something random anyways. And then the inharmonics down, and then we'll see how it sounds. We'll just kind of play around until we get something interesting. Actually, maybe in this situation, less is better. Let's try with few. So yeah, so you can still get a lot out of it, even if it's like that, even if it's on one of these other settings. There are some really cool ones here, and they all kind of do this imitation of like a physically modeled resonator in different ways, and some of them can be quite interesting just for different things. The other thing that I would recommend trying out is actually if you throw this on a send channel, it has a reverb on it. You can get some kind of cool effects like that. So let's start a little bit later in the song here. Let's give it a bit to this channel here. Yeah, I think Corpus definitely has some potential. It's really just to sort of recap. I think this XY pad is really important for getting interesting sounds out of it. So if you're going to use it in a song, I would really recommend just recording yourself doing the actual automation instead of drawing straight lines. Although, I mean, you know, that works better for some people too. Also, the tuning. Playing with the lower tunings kind of gives you some interesting droney kind of sounds. And the spread, just to give it a little bit of that detuned kind of weird sort of feeling. And yeah, just play around, see which ones work best for you, for your application or whatever, and enjoy making detuny sounds.